I love it.
Oh yeah. That's why I apologize. You'll see me drinking a
You
lot of
see that
coffee.
every day. Like every person that you see pretty much, they didn't expect that to be the outcome of that day, particular day, you know?
Unfortunately,
Yeah, unfortunately.
one day somebody will be happy and invite me somewhere and not just need me.
I'm sure you've gotten the "thank you for saving my life," though, before, a few times,
Uh, Not as frequently as you'd expect.
if you would expect. Probably
The
like
only one,
tipping the florist. I don't get tipped as frequently, so
yeah,
I mean, I'm sure it's real similar.
the only time I've actually ever somebody's gone out of their way. I had a 15-year-old kid who got pushed through a window. He cut his internal, external, and common carotid, and we ended up saving him. Like this kid died on my stretcher. I got him back, and he's still alive today. And his dad actually sought me out to thank me, and that was, it was funny because the fire department here, the fire department is a first response, but they're paid, but they do have EMTs, and they had a huge ceremony. They gave firefighter of the year to the guy for it, and the medics got nothing. We didn't even get invited,
Yeah.
and so it was excellent to have somebody who actually thank me. So Monica, well, I guess we can start. People are
Yeah,
probably gonna go in that way. Why don't you introduce yourself to everybody?
sure. So my name's Monica Andreessen. Um, I I'll say I'm originally from the Kansas City area. I've moved around most of my life. I am back in the Kansas City area. However, I'm in a little town outside of Kansas City. So technically, I live in rural America. Left corporate America a couple of years ago and really just became an accidental activist. I abandoned my journalism desires shortly after graduating from the University of Oklahoma with a broadcast journalism degree. Went in different directions, went through corporate America. A couple years ago, my job was eliminated and I just never went back. And I've had some really interesting turns in my life. And I'm here today because I decided to start writing and have really felt the need to get involved in specifically, I guess, US politics, local politics, just get involved in general, get involved in my life. I've never really felt the need until the last couple of years to do that. So here I am.
Fair enough. I mean, you have a unique perspective anyway. I actually, I I know I have a lot of new subscribers that are probably going to join, but I regularly share your stuff. I find your perspective on this very interesting. Um, and I appreciate your perspective, both being where you live, where you're from, and your perspective coming from that corporate side and seeing the degradation pretty much that happens and it's continuing to happen. Um, it's that lived experience can't be substitute for anything, right? Um, so is this going to be the whole new purpose? Are you trying to become get this going
Get
like
this
all very
going.
quickly?
Yeah, I don't know exactly my life purpose. I know that right now it's bigger than just talking within my community. I really feel called. I mean, on a large scale to get out there and do something. I feel like I've been pounding my head against the wall in some ways, and in other ways I feel like I'm really chipping away. I think the big question that's nagging me is like how do we change this? How do we really take what we've got going on in our country specifically, but in the world, but specifically to our country? How do we take what we have going on, and really like take us into like the kind of next 80 years or the next evolution, so to speak? Your article that referenced FDR and the New Deal oh, I'm blanking, but with the 10, but basically just restructuring society and really progressive and like major change. Like, how do we take, as a population, how do we take us to where we need to be in the next level? Because technology is leaving us behind right now. And we're
Absolutely.
going to suffer some really serious consequences if we don't take control of this plan and take control of the direction we're headed. I mean, get our
Ab-
heads out of the fucking sand. I'm sorry. We've got half the country that's very well organized on a bunch of bullshit misinformation propaganda. And the other half of the country is wondering what the fuck to do, but in no organized way is the problem that I've identified. And so I don't know. I'm coming from a mom living in rural America, just single, raising 2 7-year-olds on my own, trying to figure out like what is next for this country and like, do I want to be a part of that?
yeah, it's not a fun time. And I can say the misinformation part is huge. I was not prepared for the level of not just misinformation out there, it's the lack of desire to change that. That's the part that I think recently I've been just blown away with. Um, Both me and you spend countless hours researching, writing. The amount of people that will skim a headline and assume what we write is kind of frustrating. Uh, Words matter, and people just ignore them. But as far as the FDR goes, realistically, FDR is the one plan. If we could bring FDR back to life and put him back in power, he'd actually probably correct this country in a matter of a year.
Yeah. Well, I think one of the other challenges, and I wrote an article recently, the whole Republican Democrat thing. I mean, neither of them are worth a shit as a party anymore, quite frankly, and for good reason, for very good reason. I mean, what is the resistance? What is the opposition right now? Um, and I look even in my own community and in rural America, I can see why people feel left behind. Unfortunately, the wrong messengers got to them 10 years, starting about 10 years ago. You could argue starting back with Reagan, but certainly starting 10 years ago that fuck this political correctness and like what about all these people in rural America that are left behind? The problem is we're in a place where now those same people are voting against them every single time. I have a data center that's going in less than 5 miles away from my house. It seemed that there was all this uproar here locally, but when I started digging into it, SB 98 was a Kansas House Senate bill that was passed last year that essentially gives any AI company, it put a neon sign on the state of Kansas that said, if you want to build a big ass data center, come here. You don't pay taxes for 20 years. Hell, we'll pay to build the damn thing. I, and our lawmakers sat there and signed it. The same lawmakers are going to town halls now, encouraging people to raise hell. Hello? Uh-oh. I don't know where you went, so I hope I'm still going. Encouraging people to raise hell. You there? I'm gonna keep going because I'm gonna assume that everybody can see me, even though I cannot see Nicholas. Um, my point being, the same group of lawmakers that co-authored and authored that bill, and now suddenly nobody wants to take responsibility. But the people around me, there's no blame put there. There's no accountability, and we're ready to just sign over our water rights, our power, our freaking city, and nobody's doing anything. I guarantee you, 80% of this town would go vote for the same people because they have an R beside their name this afternoon if they had an opportunity. Are you there, Nicholas? Can anyone in the nodes? Oh, he isn't, but I am. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I am still going. So that's where my frustration. And I wrote an article a couple of weeks ago about utopia versus dystopia and basically the direction of this country. And I don't know how we do it, but I mean, hell, I think we need to just drop the whole Democrat and Republican thing altogether. I mean, seriously, it's I nobody's gonna fall on died on a hill right now if they've both been a MAGA Republican and their whole identity, their whole family, everything else. Um, let's see. Let me invite him. Nobody's going to put their neck on a block for the Democratic Party right now. Okay, let me see. Oh,
There we go.
okay.
There we go.
Get our shit together.
That's my sister, of all
Yep,
people. But I apologize.
that's
Like I
okay.
said,
Yeah.
I warned
I
her. I
think I
warned
was
her.
going on. I think I got to finish my data point center or data center points.
Well, I find it interesting that in that area they'd have a data center and they'd have no problem with it. But aren't they the same people that fought against solar panels and wind power and everything?
Yeah. Yes. That's the thing though. It's the just having no conviction at all. I mean, they're the same people that were screaming about no more wars in the Middle East, completely opposed to anything happening in Iran. Pretty much, I think almost 100% against that until we go to war with Iran. And then all of a sudden it's almost 100% support. I mean, just zero conviction about anything is the problem. With the data center thing, what I was finishing was the SB Senate bill was passed last year. Those same legislators are coming to these town halls saying, yes, speak up against this. When they're the ones that voted yes just a year ago, nobody calls them out in these meetings. I have family members, and I'm not going to get into more details than that, that would literally go vote for those same people, knowing what they know today, because they have an R next to their name. They're not going to go die on a hill for a Democrat. I mean, they've been so propagandized and so. I mean, I was a total corporate media Republican 10 years ago. I voted for Trump the first time around, and I'm ashamed as hell to say that today. But I did. But I also understand after really deconstructing from that and a lot of other things, tearing things apart and really understanding the mechanics behind it. I mean, that is that is a function of the machine. That's why the machine works. It's not a bug, it's a feature.
So I was looking at somebody's trying to defend gas power plants over solar. Uh,
Uh,
um, no, so it's tribalism, right? It's no longer about. It's not even Republican or Democrat. Nobody cares about that anymore. It's just tribalism. That's the part that's just sad, and I don't. I don't want to attribute things. I don't want to give Trump credit for things that I don't think he deserves. I think he is very good at weaponizing the tribalism. But I mean, I think we started seeing this tribalism honestly with Bill O'Reilly started it back in what was it 2002?
yeah.
That was when he started with the fear mongering about the Democrats are going to do this and all that. But that tribalism's gotten out of control, and it's no longer a principle. I always tell people I was a John McCain Republican. I love John McCain. I think that the man was one of the most genuinely good human beings, good men in the world. Um, he wouldn't be a Republican anymore. And I don't understand I don't understand when there was that switch. I don't understand how people decided that I don't want to actually be, I don't have, I don't have my morals. I don't have my, principles anymore. Now it's just, I want to be part of the group. And that's the part that I think is the most dangerous.
I think that if you're tethered to Christianity or if you're tethered to corporate America in any way, it has a hold on you that most people can't get out of on their own, like a drug would. It's your entire identity. It's your whole life. I mean, if you, I don't have anybody that communicates with me anymore from corporate America. Really, I have a few friends that were true friends there, but like for the most part, I'm an outcast. I mean, I post on LinkedIn and people are like, "Oh, fuck, she's gonna bash our industry again." It to fit in, like, I'm not belonging to myself, though, if I'm fitting in with other people. That's just not it's not who I've been, and corporate America about took me down. I mean, I about drank myself to death.
I
And I couldn't understand what the alcohol I could not understand alcoholism because it wasn't even that my body was physically addicted to it. Even in, like, my highest level of drinking, my body was literally allergic to my fucking life. It was allergic to it. I just got to the point where, like, my body just said no, like, no.
Yeah, well, it gets to a
I
certain
started
point
having
that
seizures. I mean, I had all kinds of weird shit happen, and I and then I had my kids late in life. I got pregnant with them just completely out of the blue at the youthful age of 38, twins, not thinking that was possible. And it's completely deconstructed, but it wasn't until even after having kids, I didn't connect a lot of the dots until I literally got laid off from my $80,000 a year draw with plus commission in February of 2024. And I just thought, well, I mean, I was a corporate recruiter. What I did, it was get execs mostly, but a lot of different finance and accounting professionals jobs. I helped hundreds, if not thousands of people in my career getting them jobs. So getting another job wasn't anything that I even blinked my eyeball at until I started really like digging in and like deconstructing. And then I went to work at a grocery store because we moved to this little town. I'd been living in Colorado and went to work at the grocery store as a floral assistant just to do something part time while the kids were in school, while I was job searching. And like, holy shit, I'm like, well, I'm not going back to corporate America now. But I mean, I've taken the time. I'm now living in poverty. We're on food stamps. Their father doesn't pay child support. He had a really successful career. I mean, the man has 14, 15 Emmys from his career at ESPN. Um, but, I've seen addiction and I've seen just the lifestyle and I've seen honestly just America like suck people whole. I mean, suck them whole and it's just getting worse and worse. I think the Trumpism again, it's like it's married religion and corporate America and just like the worst aspects of us being American all fucking together. It's terrible. It's
oh,
terrible.
absolutely.
I'm sorry, I just
Absolutely.
went on a total tangent there, but yeah, that's
No,
where my brain is.
absolutely. No,
I've
I'm glad
never
you
felt
did.
so free though. Out of a terrible marriage, not a terrible person. We were just not good for each other.
So I'm going to guess it wasn't Stephen A. Smith.
No, he wasn't in front of the camera. He was behind the scenes, but
You said
a very,
ESPN and Emmys.
very decorated career there. And
You said
very
ESPN and Emmys and terrible person. I just heard Stephen A. Smith. Uh,
No, he's not a terrible person. The drugs and alcohol have done some pretty horrific things to his life. It's unfortunate, but
well, so I always talk about how I grew up. I came from the classic family of my dad went out to go get milk, and he's still, yeah, he's raising the cow apparently. Um, and so I always talk about like growing up in that struggle, and my mom had her issues, and then I had abusive stepfathers, and I had a stepfather who was massively addicted to I think every kind of drug you could do. Um, and so when my daughter was born, I relaxed on a lot of the things that you do when you're younger. I was 30 at the time. Then my son was born, and I had the two kids. I quit everything. I can pretty much count on one hand the amount of alcohol I've had over the past 5 years. Just because and it's not like an opposition. Like I would be fine with going out and just getting sloshed. Um, I don't want my kids to know me in that way. But so I respect that. There's a weird battle that you have to do with that, right? There's a weird social battle as an adult because typically when adults get together, it's like, oh, you want to go have a drink somewhere? No, I don't. I don't want to go have a drink somewhere. It's a waste of money. Like, go spend some money doing something else. Let's go pop by or something. I don't know. Like, but there's that social aspect. But the coming from that corporate America, it's crazy. So you talked earlier. We talked about FDR, and I kind of had a conversation yesterday with a coworker talking about the how I was bitching about corporate America destroying America, and we started talking about FDR, and I was saying how we need to be taxing the rich at 90%. And he said, well, that's just going to make them not want to be rich. And I said, well, no, it won't. They're still going to want to be rich. I go, that's what we do. Yeah, when you take resources from the country, be it labor, people, the streets, anything like that, there's a cost to business, and that is a direct quote from FDR. This is the cost of doing business in America. And throughout the years, there's been just a propaganda from corporate America, and it's millions and millions and billions of dollars spent to make people believe that us having corporations pay money is a bad thing to us. I'm like, you worked at corporate America. I guarantee you that company at no point said, hey, what can we do to make your life better? It's always more, more, and more.
Well, here's the other thing, the psychological fuck. I mean, it is. Listen to this. So I think people have a hard time putting into perspective the difference between a million and a billion. Okay. And most of my former peers, they've got the 401ks and the stock and a couple of million already, I'm sure, for retirement. I'm going to turn 46 in a couple of weeks. So I would guess most of my peers are in that boat that I used to work with. Um, they look at it as they're closer to Elon's spreadsheet than they are to the balance on my EBT SNAP card. So I looked it up to try to get my own head wrapped around the difference between a million and a billion.
Hmm.
1 million seconds is around roughly 11 days. A billion seconds is almost 32 years.
That is
So
actually a
it's a
phenomenal.
matter of perspective. We have all of these capitalists with fucking no capital running around, chumming up to voting for the damn billionaires. When I mean, at the end, I mean, in the dystopia America that we could be facing in 5 years, they're going to be in the same cages that me and my kids are in. At the edge of town,
Yeah,
right next to the data center.
yeah. Well, and it's funny because this is all just we are living in the Great Gatsby, right?
Mhm.
It's a wild concept that they say history repeats itself, and it's wild to watch the amount of people and the people that I've seen go to bat for corporate America. I'm talking people who are standing in line for their EBT card. Like they're the ones that are saying like, no, they're the ones that make jobs. Dude, they are the ones that are fucking you over.
Absolutely. Well, all these corporate sponsorships. Why are grocery store chains, why do half of their employees make so little that they have to rely on Medicaid? They have to rely on food stamps because their wage, they're working. These aren't people that are sitting at home doing nothing. They're working. Their wages are so low. And then those same companies are spending millions sponsoring the Kansas City Chiefs or whatever major league who the Chiefs, they're owned by the Hunt family. Last I checked, they're worth around $29 billion. I don't know why we're subsidizing their stadium and why we're basically we're paying extra taxes on our groceries. It's the
Yeah,
corporate welfare we don't see. And the other thing that blows my mind, and too bad Bernie Sanders didn't too bad he got screwed over by the Democratic Party 10 years ago.
that
The
is an
the freaking
understatement.
billionaires, back to the tax thing, universal basic income. If they won't pay a livable wage to people working, they are sure as hell not going to pay some kind of universal basic income handily. I don't know why we ever let any individual become a billionaire before we figured out trading that. Sam Altman did not discover or invent OpenAI. He just
No,
had the capital and the backing. to
Well, Elon Musk invented.
own Chat GPT.
Yeah,
Elon
Elon
Musk
Musk
didn't
didn't invent
invent the
anything.
electric car.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous how much we worship um corporate America. It's like the same level of worship these some of these like evangelicals have for Jesus. It is the strangest thing. And this whole religion thing, I'm still kind of deconstructing. I've never lived in such a religious area. I thought moving here would only be an upside, really. Um I it blows my mind. It blows my mind, just the closed-mindedness and just I don't know, the lies. No wonder these people are upset. They've been lied to their entire life. Like, everyone around them has been lying to them, but they're mad at like, the the people that we've been propagandized to be mad at, the immigrants and the poor people, their neighbors that are also on food stamps. I don't understand it. It's been a
because
really eye-opening. I've moved around a lot, but I've always lived in big cities. I did not realize the true difference between rural America and urban America. It is night and day. It is bigger than any racial difference I've ever seen in my lifetime.
oh, absolutely. Um, the religious part is that's the sad part. I grew up Greek Orthodox. That part's sad because it is a lot of these mainstream like big money churches. I see more down south. Those big what are they called? Mega churches.
Yep.
Those tend to be they manipulate the word, right? They manipulate what the Bible says. The Bible's very clear. Jesus came back and gave two rules: love God, love thy neighbor. That that was it. He looked
Well,
at the Ten Commandments and said too much. There's two: love God, love thy neighbor, and
and
it's
that's
been
the
manipulated.
interesting part. That's the message I always got. In big cities, I always walked around, like, I live downtown Denver. I always walk around and the churches would have signs often out, homeless welcome, meals. They'd advertise when they were having meals and stuff, and I would notice the signs. And yes, that's how I thought of religion, like, in the community sense, in the sense that you would see, like, New York City when I spent some time there. Same thing. There are signs. They advertise. They have gay, the rainbow flag, and, like, they advertise, like, we're here for everybody. That is not the case at all in rural America. I don't know. It's different in, like, the communities that they serve.
Yeah. Oh,
They only serve their own church. They don't look at it as a community type of resource. It's just been strange. I've never been around it before.
well, they almost turned it back, and it's the same thing with politics. They turned it into tribalism, right? So they found a way to weaponize people against each other without saying you don't like this person. They said you belong to us. They don't, and so it's not saying don't like them. It's just that it's that slick manipulation technique, right? And that's the same thing that corporate America's done to people, and that's how Trump won. He didn't win by saying white power. He won by saying we together can make America great against them.
Mhm.
It's
It
a
is, and it's a familiar message for people that have sat in church, and that might be why 80% of evangelicals support Trump.
absolutely.
80%. I mean,
Well, a lot
and
of
and
it
I
too.
and I too, and I struggle with the religion too. I've always seen religion. I'm not an atheist. I'm not Christian. I don't subscribe to any organized religion. But I see it as a very personal thing. And I hear people say a lot around here that they're working on their relationship with Jesus, which is always a weird thing to me. Like, I meditate in the morning, but, like, I'm not going to go into it here or anywhere else what that means for me spiritually. I don't know. I just see the whole spiritual side as something that's personal and something that commands permission from others to infringe upon. I don't feel that that's. I don't know. I feel like that boundary has been crossed in a lot of ways.
Well, I tried working on my relationship with Jesus, but every time we'd go out to dinner, he'd make me pay, and so we're just gonna call it. Uh, but no, there's definitely there's a weird level of tribalism that's happened, and it kind of makes sense in a way, right? So, like you described the situation you're in now, it's a difficult situation. It's not. You see what they put on TV, you see what the media says, this is where you should be living. This is how your life should be. This is what you should be doing. And then you see, I can't. Like, me and my wife's a teacher full time. I work full time, and we're planning a vacation this summer to Pittsburgh. I want to go watch. I'm a huge Arizona Diamondbacks fan. We're gonna go watch Diamondbacks. That's our family vacation. We're not going to Disney or anything like that. Can't afford it. It's just insanely expensive. But it's weird to feel like a failure as part of the American family that I can't do that for my kids when both me and my wife work full time, right? And so that's where that level of inadequacy that we start to feel comes from. And it becomes that build of, well, why am I this way? If I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing and I'm not succeeding, then that means that somebody else is keeping me down. And instead of looking at the top and saying, hey, corporate America is the one that's set me up for failure continuously, it's so much easier to blame my gardener. It
This, this.
scapegoat.
And I think and it's happening with men and women. I mean, from a single woman's perspective, I feel like there's a total collapse of men. And again, I'm only seeing the pool that's single that's actively out there, but I talk to male friends and I'm hearing that a lot of men like aren't even actively trying to date anymore. There's the predictions market, there's this whole manosphere, there's the UFC fighting, kind of like really getting into that stuff. Um, the predictions market, the sports betting. I mean, from personal experience, the kid's dad is behind on child support. He's been out of work. But he talks to me all about his gambling and prediction stuff. But the court mandated child support's not going after that. So, I know that moms are feeling really inadequate because we don't feel like in a lot of like from a single woman that's been through a divorce, and I'm speaking for other people that I know, we don't feel like, yeah, that we have somebody taking care of us and providing like the traditional family, yet we're told like traditional family values. We in America, we stand for traditional family values. And it's like, well, me personally, if that means being number 2 in my own life, I'm not okay with the traditional family. I would
Yeah.
rather raise my kids on my own. If that means that they see one strong parent that's not addicted and not acting crazy and creating violence in the home, then that's what I see. But then hearing you speak, I can see from just speaking collectively as men, especially then after a divorce and the level of rejection that I'm sure a lot of men feel after they've been through that. And then also feeling like they don't have anything to provide respective
Well,
person.
so I can say, me and my wife, we've been together. We started dating in 2009. So I am in no way a barometer of what men do nowadays. We were together before online dating. I always tell
Yeah,
people that. Like, I don't know what online
I'm
dating
a
is. I
pro
don't
at
understand.
online dating.
Yeah,
No
see,
better situation under the sun.
I don't understand it at all. But so don't ever use me as a barometer for men. I am the worst of the worst. If it wasn't for my wife, I would probably be living in a cardboard box somewhere, just playing with Legos, because not a bad
So
life
not
right there.
bad.
Yeah. Uh, but
Worse.
no, as far as like for like men, and I've noticed this with a lot of men that I've talked to, a lot of like, especially my field, there's a lot of I'd say there's a lot of the wannabe alpha males, if that makes sense. They're
Yeah.
not alpha males, but they want to be. They try to
Is it
present
that
themselves.
hero syndrome a little bit? Like,
Yeah, it's the puffed out chest, I'm better than everybody kind of thing. And they all have this sense of it's this weird need to be what they're told to be. I have to be strong. I have to be the strong guy. I have to be tough and blah blah blah. And it's like, dude, you can just be you. You don't need to put on a facade. You don't need to pretend to be somebody else. It's okay to be inadequate. In fact, inadequacy is pretty like spot on for a lot of us. And if we roll with it, it lowers the expectation. Like let's level the playing field here. We're not all Shohei Ohtani. A lot of us are still playing AAA. It's and I feel like that is a big part of this. And the manosphere, that's where that comes from. Because none of the guys that are in the manosphere, Oh my god, I can't remember his name. The
Joe
bodybuilder.
Rogan and um, the
Well,
bodybuilder.
well, Joe Rogan's his own kind of. I put him in his own little
Sean
area.
Ryan. I don't know too many of the manosphere. I'm probably not a very good manosphere person.
Me neither. Actually, I just they just anger me. But there is one, and almost none of them have a significant other, and yet they make themselves these alpha male who I am this. You do nothing to contribute, but so they teach these people that this is what's good. This is what you should be. This is what you should want. And I that boggles my mind. Like
Well,
absolutely boggles my mind.
it's going to take women standing up and saying, no, we're not going to order what's on the menu anymore. 'Cause It
Like,
just, it's spoiled. Yeah, we're done with it. And that's where my big frustration comes out to a lot of times. And sometimes my writing, I've been told it can seem like down on women. And I think it's because I don't expect a man to understand or empathize with what a woman goes through and, the challenges of being marginalized as a woman, in particular, a mom. I can tell you, I didn't feel really marginalized as a woman until I became a mother. So I don't expect to change every man's view out there or for them to be able to step inside of my world. But I do expect other women to like start catching on. I just don't see a lot of pushback and stuff. And again, it's the marriage of the religion and then corporate America, and it's all been packaged in this perfect little plan for us. And it's
yes, it
just,
has.
yeah.
Yes, it has. Meanwhile, while manipulating the entire situation to be neither for anybody except corporate overlords, right? Um, because even think about it. What would be a successful career? What do you need for a successful career? You need to be able to have a retirement and a 401k.
Mhm.
What is it? What does a 401k benefit? Long term it will benefit you. Who does it benefit before that?
A lot of other
Benefits corporate
people.
America.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. The
benefits
big
corporate
guy,
America.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. So it's all designed top down. As far as marginalized people go, I am very I walk a very fine line. I am a white single male. Or I'm a white straight male. Like so I have to very carefully walk that line. And I will be the first person to say I had a daughter, and that's what changed my perspective on the world. Instantly having a daughter, I looked at the world and I said, "Holy shit, this is not a good place for her."
It's in
And
danger all the time.
oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's sad that it took that for me to get there. It's sad that that was where it took, but it took me having to look out of who I was and what my experience and my worldview was. And so I've actively, probably in the past now, she's 11, so probably in the past 11 years, had to look around and go, what's the world like for other people? How does the world treat other people that aren't me? Um, I have a little bit of a bias too because I grew up poor. I grew up poor without a dad, grew up with my grandmother, so I have that bias of like, well, if I grew up poor and I didn't have any privilege growing up, why should somebody else get more than I do? And I don't realize that even just being able to ask that is a privilege. Um, I do now, but that was a very steep learning curve, and it's hard to realize that having a privilege or coming from a privilege doesn't mean that you're privileged.
Right.
It's it's a weird concept. It doesn't mean your life's easy. Doesn't mean that anybody patted you on the back and said, "Here you go, champ." It just means that somebody didn't put a boot in your face when you started climbing up.
And I think it just means that you have a different perspective too. I mean, the worst most men go through their day worrying about as far as like a threat to them, who they are as a person, is somebody else making fun of them, calling them out, something like that, being humiliated, so to speak. Like the worst fear that a girl walks around with, like it's not being made fun of, it's being physically attacked and not being able to defend yourself. Like that's like, a, so like it's also a matter. It's a completely different perspective in that regard.
Well, it's funny if you think about it. Both men and women have the same fear, and it's men, right? Uh, because
Sure, it's the only
that's
one
what's
that
a
could
problem.
really like assault you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that's where the main problem is, right? It's men and women both have the same fear of other men. Um, but no, I think that is where there's a huge. It's actually one of the reasons why I do share your work so much is because like the perspective. You know, I know, I talk to my wife. Me and my wife, we talk. We have a very like very close, tight marriage. We talk all the time. And I mean, like when I say like there's no secrets, we talk to each other about everything. If one of my friends is telling me something and they're like, "Don't tell your wife," too late. She already knows. Like I've been texting her the whole time. Um, so it's I look and I try to see what she's experiencing in the world, and it's not that I can't empathize because I want to. It's just hard for me to understand that experience. That's why a lot of times I like to share your work because you show that and you show what it's like for women. And women get silenced too much. And it's nice to see somebody actually putting that out there, even if it seems like you're being critical of women. It's not you're not saying we aren't doing good enough. It's we can do better and we need to do better for each other. I
Well,
think it's
it's
important.
up to us. No, it's up to us. Nobody else is going. We can't expect men to do it for us. I mean, that defeats the whole purpose of what we're trying to be on an equal playing field. So we got to like, you know, grow a pair of titties or balls, whatever you want to call it. And just like go for it. Like I try to think about it like what's the worst thing that can happen. I mean, I'm not going to die because I write
Well, and
this, put it out there. Like I'm not going to physically die. Um,
historically
Somebody
speaking,
might think differently of me. I mean, who cares? Their opinion's really none of my business. Somebody else's
historically
opinion
speaking,
about me, it's not.
historically speaking, white men are very good at including others and giving others their fair chance. Uh, it's one thing white men really love to do. It's include others. Uh, throughout history, a great history of just inclusive white guys. But I think it's important, and there's a stigma that goes around with trying to. There's a stigma about trying to actually understand and accept differences, because when you start talking about it, you get oh, they're just woke, right? I get a lot of people tell me, like, what is it, libtard? That's the new one. I get it all the time, which is funny because I'm.
I take that as a compliment. I ever heard somebody talking about me saying that I was woke, and I do. I took that as an incredible compliment.
I mean,
I don't know how we message different. And to bring up another point about the libtard and I will say, as much as MAGA has kind of rattled me around here, the Democrats have not just opened up their arms and given me hugs either. So,
oh yeah, no,
I've been shocked. You mentioned Mondami in a Democratic circle in Kansas, and holy shit, you might as well be in a mega church, with a bunch of red hat wearers. I mean, shit.
oh yeah. So I did an article a couple months ago on Gavin Newsom, and I think that he is probably one of the most evil human beings.
I think it's terrible.
Yes. Um, and like I'm not even talking about on a personal morality level. On a morality level, the man cheated on his wife with his best friend's wife. Like that's just so
Yeah,
morality.
I mean, enough
We can throw
said.
that. Yeah, we can throw that, but we'll call it a wash morality. Like he has just lied about every single thing he's ever said he's going to do. He's destroyed universal health care twice. So I, I have been very critical, and I wrote an article, and I was just attacked by Democrats, and it was insane. It was almost worse than I get attacked by the MAGA people.
Yeah, it's bad. They have all these little categories, and it's like, oh no, 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 no. The MAGA is united. They're
Hmm.
united. We don't have the luxury of nitpicking apart the opposition, that aren't paid by the same people that's paid. I mean, the corporate Democrats, forget about it. I'm not even talking about them anymore. But yeah, I mean, when I moved here, my dad told me a Kansas Democrat is just like a Republican anywhere else. And I said, Dad, you're too critical. And I bet they're not that way. They are. They
Oh,
are.
absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm not, it's like, I don't, and that's again why I'm throwing around these ideas. Like, how do we move away from the Republican and Democrat thing? I know it's not easy just to like change those processes, but like everybody just become an independent, and then let's commit to being as engaged or have been as engaged as the Europeans are in their government and ultimately in their lives. We got to get away from this. Like we can't talk about politics. It is life. We can
Mhm.
talk about politics. We can talk about how our kids are going to get fed, what their education looks like. what our healthcare system looks like. That's why we have a government. So yes, we can talk about politics and really holding our candidates accountable to standing for something. So spending a little bit more time listening to the people that we're voting for, that's making these decisions, that's running our life. I just don't know how to get away from like, and now we've got all of this independent journalism, which is fantastic. But there's no centralized message anymore. There's no centralized message for MAGA seems to have pretty centralized messaging. I don't know. Maybe they just use a top down kind of approach. We don't really have a top and I say we, I'm not even part of the Democrats. I'm unaffiliated. I don't subscribe to either. I vote for the candidate or I don't vote if I don't know what a candidate stands for. I have never voted for somebody's R or D beside their name. That is just not my motive in participating in our civic
No,
freedoms. It just isn't.
but that's how it should be. That's how we should all be looking at it. Um, I think ultimately the country just kind of we need to pull a what is it, under the Tuscan sun kind of thing where we'll just go find ourselves, like break away from all the political parties. Let's go find ourselves. Let's go to Tuscany as a country. Let's just all go to Tuscany for a while.
Go work at the
Um,
grocery store. To
yeah.
leave corporate America, go work at the grocery store. It's awesome.
Well, so I spent years working for corporate EMS. And if you want to see just terrible, take healthcare and put it in with corporation. And that's what like AMR, GMR, it's all corporation. I work now for a not profit. And I don't feel as dirty when I get insurance information from people because it's going back into the agency. It's not my boss isn't driving Benz outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think a big part of it is, there's the tribalism and there's the MAGA people. I will thankfully the actual MAGA base, like the people that are just the diehard MAGA people, that's going down. It's going down slowly, very, very slowly, but it's going down, and it's not nearly what it is. And I have noticed there is a growing movement of some Republicans to at least wake up to what's going on. The problem is, even if you take Trump out of the picture, there's still the problem that they're all being manipulated by the corporate America side. And so
It's what they've
Trump,
incubated. It's what
yeah,
Trump has incubated because
absolutely.
Reagan incubated Bush, incubated Trump. I mean, it's going to be more extreme. It's never less extreme. That's not how these movements go. They don't go more middle of the road. That's where the Democrats have made huge mistakes. Let's just go middle of the road. No, go way progressive. Go way far out there. Go do a bunch of things that we've never done before. Don't go
Absolutely.
to the middle. But now we're gonna the Tucker Carlsons of the world are he's gaining a lot of support out there. I mean, he's gaining a lot of support. I hear him talked about a lot, and I hear sound bites of his recently that do sound. He said some reasonable things. I mean, in this batshit crazy world that we're living in right now, I mean, it's not that hard to sound reasonable.
That's the sad part.
The door is wide open. You know, the vacuum's wide open.
But that's the sad part is Tucker Carlson, one of the people who probably has a picture on the wall of fame at the KKK base, sounds reasonable because he's just not following party lines. That is insane. That is like, and you could say Candace Owens at times has sounded reasonable because she's like, what world is just not following the party lines sounding reasonable? Then we're going, oh, they make sense. That's insane.
Well,
That
I'm
is
going to
just,
say something really uncomfortable, very uncomfortable that I've discovered in the last couple of years since moving to rural America. I did not understand how many people are still upset about having a black president. How
oh
many
yeah.
people were still upset about Obama? I lived in Colorado for 15 years prior to moving back to the Kansas City area to be around family a couple years ago. So I had a very different take. I wasn't involved in all this because things were going pretty well in Colorado. Like I got a good tax return. Like we had a surplus of money and that things were run pretty well. When I needed help, I got it there. Like I didn't really need to get involved. Schools were fully funded. We moved to Kansas and it's like, holy shit, our schools haven't been fully funded since 2011 here. We're given all these tax holidays, 20 years to every AI data multiplex out there. And we'll pay for the construction too, on top of that. Sorry, I went off on a tangent. But yeah, it's like I don't know how to get people away from the Republican Democrat though, because these people around here, as much as they are moving away from Trump, and I agree the MAGA thing, I see it dying. And I see them looking for someone else. They are not going to go flocking towards a Democrat.
No,
They're not.
not at all.
That's not going to happen. And so I just think that we have to be aware. We've been so focused on Trump and the crazy fucking shit he's caused, that we can't take our eye off the ball of that. I don't know how we get a central message and get like a more cohesive movement going, because I don't think that the Democrats are going to get it done. I think they're winning these elections, which is it sounds great. But I don't think we also can wait around for elections, because we're not going to have. It's not like going to be some big blue sweep in November, and then things
No.
are just. These people have not done what they've done to date, to then let all of that come out and be prosecuted and held accountable. They won't be held accountable.
Yeah, no, no.
So what does the resistance look like?
I mean, so it's funny because like an actual resistance. So there's two. You have two types. There's the violent resistance, which historically speaking doesn't work, and like it's the depressing one to hear about because I would love to be able to go punch a Nazi in the face. It would be cathartic for me to go just hit somebody in a MAGA hat in the
What if he's
face.
got an AR-15?
I mean, we're not going to say if I have
Just
guns or
saying. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess up your story. You're hypothetical.
no, you're all right. But it would as much as it would feel like therapeutic to just be able to beat up a MAGA person. Historically speaking, that doesn't work. Violence will cause a revolution. I think it's like 7% of the time. It's a ridiculously low
What
number.
did we get out of January 6th?
I mean, they got a lot
I
of
mean,
money.
we don't need to go off on that topic, but yeah, violence is not the answer.
No, uh, but there is a nonviolent way, and the way it has to work is, and it. So I'd gone through all these numbers, especially with all of this, and it surprised me, right? So to do a nonviolent uprising, a citizens uprising, if you would, where it would be nonviolent, like say a boycott or a general strike. In my head, I'm thinking this is America. Doing something like that's going to take half the country, like 50% to do it, to make a change. Well, it takes less than 4%. I think it was 3.62%, which is like 11 million people, which isn't a lot. That's not a lot of people. And that would actually cripple the economy to the point that there would have to be something done. Because the truth is, the only time we're going to see anything done is if we hurt the rich. And the only way to do that, it's not to physically hurt them because they just don't care.
I've heard that 3.5%, the financial, like a boycott, like works
Mhm.
at like around the 3.5% mark, which I was surprised that it was that.
Yep. No, me too.
That and yeah, money is the only thing that I mean, other countries have figured that out with us. I'm surprised that they haven't crippled us more financially. I think they're more in the long game. They're not so short term like we are here. But yeah, they know that Americans' money is the only thing that talks in this country. We've completely. I mean, once we have the ability to collectively dehumanize one group of people, being the immigrants, everybody is at risk. You can't have one group at risk without the whole going
Well, I mean,
down.
considering even with the ICE raids and the ICE taking these immigrants, I think to date they have marked 117 citizens that they've detained illegally. Like that's just straight regular everyday Americans that they think Native Americans. Like they've captured Native Americans. There's one group of people that you can't claim are illegal. It's Native Americans.
I
Like
would love to do a whole nother segment on Native Americans. I was just talking to a coworker about that this morning and the atrocity around that. Yes.
yeah, like it that boggles my mind. Um, just the gall and nerve to say Native Americans or need to show me their papers. Nah, bro. Nah, they were here before you. Um, but it's wild because with what ICE has done, and we've seen our civil liberties just don't exist. They're, they've gotten rid, and even with like the No Kings protests that have happened, the concept was great, but what it did was it set Trump has set up quick deploy. What are they? The quick deploy National Guard units now because he just wants to declare it a riot and be able to go in with martial law. It's what he wants.
Well, and
Um,
really Fox News and all of the paid propagandists on the right take care of all of that because they say it's just a bunch of libtards. It's just a bunch of I mean, they take care of that with the messaging. And unfortunately, that messaging works for a segment of our country. It's brought out the worst. I'm not saying that they're bad people as a group of people. But it certainly brought out the worst characteristics. I don't think anyone could argue that with me. That if they're an avid Trump supporter today, that they're a better person today than they were, you know, 20 years ago. But
yeah, no, it's there's that level of, again, it goes back to that tribalism, right? Where they're just trying to find a way to manipulate somebody, and people are so desperate to fit in that they're going to listen to somebody like the Megan Kelly, Scott Jennings, or Jesse Waters. Um, I do say if you are listening to one of those, I feel bad. We could start a support group for you. Um, I do have a couple books that you could read. Green Eggs and Ham is one of them. Excellent book, The Lorax. We'll start there and we'll move up. But there's definitely a level where it is where the media and that corporate media side, like Rupert Murdoch, is very invested in keeping America fighting America. They want America fighting America because then the rich aren't going after the rich. And that is where this is going to go. And that you can't change except by just waking people up for it. You just have to make people realize that there's something better and there's a better way. That's I don't know that there's another answer to that one, unfortunately. Um, but ultimately, I think your best bet, the best way to do anything is to a general strike. That's not a protest. It's not civil unrest. It's just us saying, as a country, no, we've had enough. And it's not like a general strike means we don't go to work for a week. One day is all it takes.
I mean, even strike off of Facebook. Like, I don't really get on my Facebook. I only cross post because I'm trying to build up my Substack right now. I'm trying to get
Yeah.
off of Facebook altogether. Really, I have that for personal reasons. But it's not something that I like to be on. But even just striking as a group off of that, like literally like sleeping your account or whatever, you can go in there. You don't have to delete your account or anything like that, but you can sleep it.
So
Um,
a couple of years ago, I tried deleting my Facebook account, and it's almost impossible to delete them nowadays.
It is almost impossible. I had somebody try to do it for a dead relative. It was a nightmare. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandmother died 10 years ago. I just saw his Facebook page. It's a weird concept. But if if there was a general strike and people just said, we're not going to go to work, we're not going to shop today, one day, it would just take 11 million people. That's not compared to the size of our country. Again, that's 3%.
Yeah.
That would be enough that it would cripple the economy. And do I think that Trump would go, all right, you guys are right and you win? No, but it would make him have to acknowledge it.
Have to acknowledge it. I think it would
Yeah.
make people have to acknowledge that. I think it would also send a message for the people that are having a hard time. Maybe they don't agree with what's going on, but if they've been supporting him for 10 years, it's like, how do I leave the cult now? You know, what's my
Yeah.
exit ramp? I think a lot of people don't have an exit ramp too. And so that's the danger I talk about with like the Tucker Carlsons, because somebody's gonna fill that void.
Yeah. There's definitely that level where it these people don't have a choice to get out of it and to do anything better, right? So it, and half of the people, and I'm sure in your area, half of those people just know that you either watch Fox News or what's the other one, Newsmax, because they've been trained not to watch MSNBC and CNN.
Yep.
You go to a lot of places in New York, you're only going to see MSNBC or CNN on, and they're all the same. It's all the same.
Yep, it's all
but
the same corporate machine. Yeah.
they're not.
Corporate mess.
They've been already trained to distrust the other just because it's the other. That's part of why I do what I do is I'm hoping to try to if I can get one person to go, oh, I can look out there and see that there's a different way, then I've done my job. I always try to be clear and like I will be the first person to acknowledge I hate I hate Trump. I hate everything about that dude.
Yeah.
Um, I just morally, ethically, everything, just not a good person. But I also try to explain to people that like I am not coming at this as a guy who just hates Trump. These are the facts. I'm my goal, my view, everything I want is coming from as a father. Like I'm a dad, I'm a husband, and professionally I'm a healer. I try to make people's lives better. Um, I don't care if you're gonna vote red or blue or whatever, but vote for your interest.
Don't
And
forget.
so the messaging has to be that's the messaging has to be stronger on that. And that's where I don't know that there's an easy answer on that one, but
I just keep chipping away. I mean, I come at it as a parent as well, more of a perspective of I have a huge imagination, if you want to call it that, but I see the abundance of resources and what we have at our fingertips in the year 2026. And like, we should already have this UBI, universal basic income figured out. And like, we don't, but like, let's grab the bull by the fucking horns and like handle this. Like, I look around and we could be living in like a utopia. I mean, from what most people imagine is possible, what we could actually make possible with the resources that we have in this country and the talent and like the science that we had before it got reconstructed and all of that, like we could have the country that we say that we are. You know, we could literally have like almost no homelessness, unless truly by choice. And and universal healthcare and education. I mean, like we could have all of those things. We have the resources. They're already here. We don't have to go create anything. We just have to create better policies. That's it. That is
yeah.
it. We just have to move the money around.
Well,
Create
and
policies, move the money around. It's real simple. It's already here.
a big
But
part of it
yet
too
we're
is
like
you have to.
going right into doomsday, I feel like. I feel it's just walking right into it. Like, why are we doing this?
I mean, a big part of it too is there has to be more transparency, right? I think the biggest obstacle we faced, and this has been, they used to call it yellow journalism back in the day. The biggest obstacle we face is just a normalization of bullshit, fake media. The fact that you can turn on CNN, MSNBC, and Fox, and they'll all tell you the same story in three completely different ways, it's unacceptable. Um, Up until actually when Reagan was in office, and I'm trying to remember the name of the act, there used to be an actual act that if you were a news program or if you did a news program kind of like a Fox News or CNN, you had to give equal time to both opinions. You couldn't just have, and he abolished that. I want to say it was 1985, because in 1986 is when Rush Limbaugh started. And that was a direct result of Reagan getting rid of that oversight. That was also a lot to do with Rupert Murdoch, but but that's where we stopped seeing fair and balanced news and fair and balanced coverage, and it became fairness doctrine. Yes, thank you, Laura knew what I was talking about. Thank you. But that was where we started seeing this misinformation and just start spreading, and that's it has to just be known more publicly that this is what's happening. You know, if they're not going to repeal or they're not going to put back in place the fairness doctrine,
Yeah.
it is against corporate interest to do that. So there is no politician that's going to do it except maybe Bernie Sanders or AOC or Thomas Massey if he was still there. Um, they would maybe do it, but it's not going like it's corporate interest going to make sure it doesn't happen. But if we make sure people are aware that that is what the problem is, I think that is a huge part of it. Anyway,
My daughter is apparently about to die. My cord from the other room.
Well, that's okay. My dog decided that he wants attention now too.
We've hit our hour, so
Yeah. So
thank you.
no, it was great talking to you. We'll have to do this again.
Absolutely.
Um, to all the people here who subscribe to me, please go follow Monica. Excellent work on there. Keep going. What you're doing is important, and don't let anybody minimize what you're doing because it's incredibly important. It's making a difference every day.
You as well. Thank you for what you do.
We try, but take care, everybody. Good luck. Stay smart, stay awake, and stay alert.